Hey everybody, this is PJ Reilly from Lancaster Archery. Got another how-to video for you in our series about building a hunting arrow. We've selected the correct spine for our Black Eagle Rampage arrows. We know what length we want to cut them. So here we are at the Lancaster Archery Supply warehouse arrow cutting saw. It's good to use a cutting saw specifically designed for cutting arrows when you're cutting your arrows. For several reasons. First off, it's got built-in measuring devices so you can get the absolute correct length for your arrow. Also, it's going to have supports at the nock end, at the front end, so that you can get a clean roll of your arrow. What can happen is if you try and do this with a regular saw at home, you can get an uneven cut and then your components aren't going to fit flush. So we want to, arrow saw is the best way to go. We got plenty of them at Lancaster Archery. You can find them on our website. We've already determined that my arrow length is going to be 29 inches. If you want to know more about that, you can refer to our video on choosing the correct arrow spine. The arrow saw is set to cut this arrow at 29 inches. The things you want to pay attention to when you're cutting an arrow is you just want to roll it as you are making your cuts. You don't want to put any pressure in the middle here. These arrows are flexible. That's going to lead to an uneven cut on the end. So you're just going to let the saw do its work. You're going to twist from both ends of the arrow and just make a nice clean cut. So we'll do that now. Okay, we've got our dozen arrows cut. Now we're going to go show you how to prep them for installing the components. Even though we used an arrow saw, which is designed to give us an even cut on the end of the arrow, it's still always best to try and square up your ends to make sure that it's perfectly flat. You can imagine if your point is in there and the end of your arrow is not straight, it can lean one way or the other and then you're going to have erratic arrow flight. So what we like to use is a device called the G5 Arrow Squaring Tool. This is a real simple device that you can use to make sure the ends of your arrows are flat, perfectly flat. What we like to do is take a silver Sharpie, and on the very end of your arrow, you're just going to put that silver on there so you can see it's got a full coating the whole way around. Then you're just going to put it in the squaring device. There's two sides to this barrel on the squaring device. One is basically like a gritty, almost very heavy-duty sandpaper. That's for carbon arrows. The other side has a blade right down the middle of it. That's for aluminum arrows. So we're using carbon. So we've got the carbon side queued up in here. And I'm just going to sit there. It's got the supports for the arrow. I'm just going to spin this. I'm putting pressure forward into the sanding device. I'm just going to do that and make turns. And I might make 10 turns. And then take a look at it. And you can see it looks like I've gotten pretty clean, maybe just a little bit more to get the last pieces off. But it looks like the arrow saw did a pretty good job of cutting at least this arrow square. And once all that silver is gone, then I know that I have a flat end there. So, and of course, if you're going to be putting in Luminox like we are, it never hurts to do the exact same thing to the nock end of the arrow. Okay, so we've got both ends of our arrows perfectly squared. So now we're going to put in our inserts on the point end. And the Black Eagle Rampage uses what's called a half-out insert. And that means part of the insert goes inside the arrow and the other half is going to stick out. The lip that we just squared, the very end of the arrow, it's going to seat against this little ridge right here. So that's why we wanted it perfectly flat. Now there's going to be carbon dust inside the end of the shaft from the cutting and sanding that we did. So we like to make sure we get all that out of there so there's good adhesion for the glue. So real simple, just a little bit of alcohol put onto the end of a Q-tip, jam that end in there and swirl it around And you'll see it's going to be a little bit black on there. That's just getting that carbon dust out. Now we're ready to glue in our inserts. We're just going to use our Pine Ridge insert glue here. I've got a paper towel to wipe away any excess. The insert process for the Black Eagle Rampage is real simple. Just going to take some glue, just press it right in. You can see the glue comes out. I've got my towel over here. This glue takes about 30-40 seconds to set up, so once I'm done, just set it over there. Okay, so we've got all of our inserts put in there, and now we're going to switch to the other end of the arrow. We're going to put in our Luminox. You're going to have to make sure that you get the right size Luminox to match your specific arrow shaft. If you go to Luminox website, they'll indicate which size Luminox goes with which arrow. The Rampage takes the X-Nock. Something you'll notice about the Luminox is sometimes they get a little bit sticky at the end and don't really want to slide in too well. So we just take regular old bowstring wax. And if you put just a little bit on the very end of the knock like that, it should help this slide right into place. So we're going to remove the factory knock, take our Luminox, slide it in there. There, we got it. We know that it works. Turn it on, pull it out to turn it off. Our arrows are now prepped and ready to move on to indexing. We're going to be doing that in a following video. If you like this video, be sure and give us a thumbs up at the bottom of the screen. And as always, if you have any questions, you can visit us at lancasterarchery.com.